Joining us here in the studio, Desne Masie is the former senior editor for the Financial Mail in South Africa, and she's currently with the Royal Africa Society in London. We want to thank you, Desne, so much for joining us. We've heard a little bit of President Zuma's address, and perhaps we'll hear a little bit more. He started off talking about the economy, which I imagine is not a surprise, some of the obstacles that need to be overcome, and then he was going on to talk about the progress that has been made since last year's address. I know we've just heard a few minutes, but what were your impressions of what you've heard so far?
Well, South Africa is under lots of pressure to do something, take action, especially on its macroeconomic policy framework. The thing is, it's the biggest economy in Africa, is the one issue. Therefore, it's also the most sophisticated economy in Africa, so it's integrated quite a lot into the global economy, which is why it's been affected quite a lot by the financial crisis, as Zuma's pointed out. However, the growth that is required is not only to keep international investors happy, it's also to bring people out of poverty, which are the other objectives, you know, that he's also highlighted. So it's a big task for the government. The odds are completely stacked against them, and as you can hear, progress has been really hard.
And when you hear him talking, Desne, one would think that the economy would be growing, and it may be growing internally, but he has just said it's going to go down from 3 point something to 2 point something already. He's announced that.
Yeah, well, this is the surprising thing. I mean, you know, in the last State of the Nation address, he announced that there would be massive infrastructural spend. So one would think that the result of that would be jobs growth, for example. You know, so those kinds of things to me are quite surprising. There are many reasons for South Africa's, other reasons for the decrease in GDP, aside from the global recession, has been volatility in the agricultural sector, especially with farming. Mining as well has seen massive disinvestment. There were problems at the Marikana mine last year and Lommen as well, which scared off investors. And the main issue really is that socioeconomic equality. So South Africa's got, you know, it's an upper middle income country in terms of the IMF rankings, but the income disparities are so high that it's sitting at 0. The Gini coefficient was a measure of income inequality, is sitting at 0.7%, and this is an insanely high number. It's one of the highest in the world. And all the ratings agencies that downgraded the sovereign debt last year has said that the ruling party's inability to galvanize around a coherent macroeconomic policy framework is making investors really worried, because all the things that we see, the farming violence, the violence at Marikana, are all results of the government's failure to take action and bringing people out of poverty.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Desne, I'm going to ask you just to sit tight. We're going to listen just a little bit more to what President Zuma is presenting to South Africa.
We have expanded the rail capacity through the delivery of 11 locomotives. The first phase of the expansion to increase iron ore port capacity at Saldanha to 60 million tons per annum was officially completed in September last year. Construction work is taking place in 5 cities: Cape Town, Nelson Mandela Bay, Rustenburg, eThekwini, Tshwane, to integrate the different modes of transport: bus, taxi, and train. In the energy sector, we have now laid 675 kilometers.
And we are again listening to President Jacob Zuma's State of the Nation address in South Africa, happening live right now. We're joined in studio by Desne Masie, who is giving us her perspective. Michael, of course, Michael Wilson, our business and economics editor, has joined us because this speech has a lot to do with the economy.
As we've heard, yes. I mean, he's said that business about growing the economy threefold and all the rest of it. But he was very good at Davos. He's very good internationally. But when he speaks at home, don't you get the feeling that there isn't a cohesive kind of message?
Well, that's because the ANC, they call it a broad church. Yes. You must remember that in 1994, when South Africa transitioned to democracy, when you vote for the ANC, you're also voting for a tripartite alliance with Labour and the left. So the South African Communist Party and the Congress of Trade Unions are part of the ANC as well. So the thing is, at home, they've got to satisfy Labour and the left, and who really want to see action on poverty. And then, of course, when Zuma goes off to Davos, he's got to make investors happy that he's making pro-market decisions as well. So I think the ANC is in quite a difficult situation, because on the one hand, foreign investors want them to have prudent fiscal policies. On the other hand, they want to see them letting go of the poverty and infrastructural problems. Those are two competing interests. So I mean, the ANC can do better in terms of implementing things, but they are, really, they've got a lot of tensions and people they've got to make happy.
Desne, thanks so much for the moment.